Today, on episode 77 of Rail Talk, we do our much-anticipated Mage Rage Derby Draft. Can't wait for that. We also react to the Pegasus, the Southwest, and Belinda Stronach's comments about the future of Gulfstream. I'm Joe Bianca. I'm an ownership advisor at West Point Thoroughbreds, and the Super Bowl is all set. I can't wait for that matchup between the... Sorry, John.
Jonathan Green, general manager of DJ Stable. And Joe, not only are you looking wiser today, but you're looking a little older today, buddy. Happy birthday to my compatriot and partner in this craziness known as the Rail Talk podcast. Joe Bianca, you guys, is how old are you now, Joe?
I'm closer to 40 than I was last week.
Get that,
that's all I'll say.
That AARP application out, buddy.
We're just going to keep adopting puppies to make me feel young. By the way, Juno's here for all the audio listeners. Rail Talk is sponsored by Fasig-Tipton. Man, what an exciting night on Eclipse Awards night. We didn't even talk about the Eclipse Awards yet, but Fasig, there's plenty to talk about on their end because Fasig was responsible for seven Eclipse Awards for 2024, more than any other sales company. That obviously includes Horse of the Year and Champion 3-year-old filly Torpedo Anna. We've talked about her and how she was purchased for $40,000 at the Fasig October sale. And it's just such a feather in the cap to the depth of the catalogs at the Fasig sales. And you see it year after year, but no better example than Torpedo Anna. Also, on the other end of the spectrum, Sierra Leone, multi-million-dollar horse. You can also find those top-end premium horses that turn out to be great horses on the racetrack at Fasig. He was champion 3-year-old male. Moira, who was champion female turf horse. National Treasure, champion older dirt male. Soul of an Angel, champion female sprinter. And Straight No Chaser, who was the champion male sprinter. So that's tremendous. 6 different winners for a combined 7 awards for Fasig graduates. I mean, that's not an accident, dude. Nope. And it's because, like I said, of the depth of the catalog. And just as an added bonus, they have these one-horse digital flash sales that we've seen John and Len take advantage of. Now there's one open this week for Gigante, who's a Steve Asmussen trainee who's been a stakes winner at 2, 3, 4, and 5. So he's already won stakes races over 4 different seasons. And we're very familiar with him at West Point because we have a horse named Northern Invader, who's a really, really nice horse. And Gigante just has his number like every single time. He's beaten us like 3 or 4 times. And they've been close. But Gigante is that fly in the ointment, and he just know he's going to show up every time. And we got to get over that hurdle with a really nice horse in our own right. Gigante, that bidding is open until this Friday, January 31st. You can go to digital.fasigtipton.com to learn more. And just what an exciting concept that, you have a good enough horse, you want to turn it around. You can have that stage. You can have that all to yourself at Fasig-Tipton, where all eyes are on your horse. Obviously not every horse can have that spotlight, but they're willing to do it for the right horse, and Gigante is certainly that right horse. So, I mean, just they cover it all. They have Eclipse Award winners and the digital sales. John, they're the house for pretty much everybody's auction needs.
Well, Joe, and you mentioned, the least expensive, lower ranged horses like Torpedo Anna was. She was a modestly purchased horse, all the way to a multi-million-dollar horse like Sierra Leone and everything in between. So if you're selling, you want to have that venue where they're selling million-dollar horses. But the other thing that I thought was really interesting, Joe, is, they had the 7 Eclipse winners, and they were basically sold at 4 different types of sales: a digital sale, a yearling sale, a select yearling sale, and the Night of the Stars. I mean, so you can pick up a good horse from a Fasig sale almost across the board throughout the calendar. And with that February sale coming up, the bricks and mortar sale coming up, you never know if that next champion isn't already cataloged in this sale.
So it was a banner day at Gulfstream Park, Pegasus World Cup day. We had a lot of home team action on the West Point side with Battle of Normandy and Integration in the Pegasus turf, and Integration ran too well to lose, man. Like, just made that early move under Frankie Dettori and just got nailed late by Spirit of St. Louis. He was the best horse in the race. Battle of Normandy did not get as good of a trip, but overall it was just a terrific day of racing, both there and at Oaklawn. We're going to talk plenty about Sandman and the Southwest because that was some kind of effort. But I wanted to start with the Pegasus just because it was a $3 million race and it was won in a very, very impressive performance by White Abario. I know we talked a little bit about this off the air, John. It's hard to feel warm and fuzzy about a horse like that doing something like that, considering what barn he comes out of. He's obviously a really nice horse, and it wasn't like a stacked field or anything. It was pretty much him and then two other like really top class handicap horses. But man, to see him run away from Saudi Crown like he was standing still. Kind of remind him of the old days at Gulfstream Park and Saffie Joseph's horses. He's got better, higher class horses now, but I've seen a lot of his horses do that. He's an admirable horse, but it's just hard to feel good about that winner winning like that to me.
Well, and let's also look at the, on both sides of the coin here. You like you said, Joe, you had White Barrio who ran, a phenomenal race and looked like he was running with his tail on fire because he just broke away from all the rest of the group. It was not a stellar group. It was not a field where you would say top to bottom. It was a $3 million grade one kind of race. We talked about it, I think, off air that, in the Longines rankings, there was only one horse in the entries that were in the top 100. So certainly that was Mystic Dan, and really that was because of Mystic Dan's Triple Crown, races more so than his current resume. But there were 12 horses that were originally entered, 10 colts, 1 gelding, 1 filly, but nothing really where you would go, oh my God, it's a must-see kind of race. Where was Sierra Leone? Where was Forever Young, Fierceness? Horses like that are going to be running Rattle and Roll, that are going to be running overseas probably in the Saudi race and those, even bigger ticket type races. But, it was still a race that right now is a grade one. They gave away $3 million. And, White Barrio ran, like he was supposed to run in that race. It did surprise me that he ran away from the field as aggressively as he did. It certainly gives, a lot of juice for us to talk about as far as, back and forth what we think about the horse. But, and that wasn't Saffie's only win of the day. He had a couple of other wins. Be My Guest was, in the turf race. So he had a banner day. The rest of us that had horses running, whether it was you, whether it was me at DJ Stable, whether it was Resolute, none of us had a good day racing at Gulfstream on Pegasus Day. Joe, the numbers also came out where, from a handle standpoint, they were at $41 million on track handle, which is consistent with like 22 and 23, 24 last year. They had $47 million of on-track handle. So I don't know what that's attributed to. Maybe it's because, Alex Earl wasn't there this year. She was there last year. I would attribute maybe $6 million of money changing hands because of her. I don't know. But certainly, they had a great card overall. I think they had a great amount of people that were there. They sold out. You couldn't get a ticket unless you bought one or you knew somebody. And they had great racing overall and great weather. But, I wasn't as excited about this year's Pegasus card as I had been about previous cards. That's just a personal feeling on it. So much so, even though we had a couple of horses in the undercard races, we stayed in frigid New Jersey because it to me, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great day of racing, like especially kind of in the dead of winter. It's nice to have these big cards, to have something to bet on and get excited about. But John, if this were $1 million purse,
right,
do you honestly think that it would be a significantly weaker field? It really is just the space on the calendar. We talked about this before. Like, I think that they'd be better off decreasing the purse back down to $1 million and distributing that $2 million into the rest of the purse accounts or some of the other overnights or some of the other stakes. Like, I think, like, especially from where it started as like a $12 million, $16 million race. Like, you basically just have the Don handicap now. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don handicap was a great race. Mm-hmm. So was the Gulfstream Park turf handicap, which is now the Pegasus turf.
Right.
I don't know. Like, I get that they like having the big days and you can still have a big day, but I just feel like the Pegasus branding has completely fallen apart to where it's just, it's not the star-studded event that I think it was, at least initially. I'm sure they did get a good crowd there. Like, that's awesome. And I'm really happy about that. But like, the Pegasus itself is not a marquee race on the calendar.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head. It's not the same as it used to be. It's not the same as what it was intended to be when Frank started it out as a kind of an entrepreneurial experiment, right, where you had to buy the $1 million entry, and then you could use that ticket on either one of your horses if they were approved, or on somebody else who was invited. And you can kind of set up a lease share, revenue share. But it was very like cool and entrepreneurial and really cutting edge. But like most things, Joe, that was like 15, 20 years ago, right? I mean, am I talking out of my ass? It was a long time ago. And I know, and we'll get
10 years. It was like 10 years ago.
And we'll get to this, maybe now we talk about Belinda's NBC interview on Pegasus Day, where she was actually talking about, the future of racing. And give me a second, because I'll circle back to Frank when, for a moment. And Belinda was quoted as saying, she was asked about the future of racing at Gulfstream. And she said, "We want to look to the future. It's whatever's in the best interest of racing." Then her next quote was, "It's not a great thing for horses to have a racetrack in dense urban settings." Then she continued. The next question from Brittany was, to what do you think racing at Gulfstream is going to be in 5 years? And Belinda said, "Well, we're going to have continued discussions with horsemen and ask them, where do you want to be in 5 years? We want to have a healthy discussion and a great opportunity to work together." Now, here's the other kicker in a series of kickers. My family, this is from Belinda, "My family has a long history in racing, and we care about the business." Let's stop and put a pin in that for a second. Okay, now I'm going to circle back to Frank. So Frank, and certainly Andy, his son, had a great interest in racing. Frank, according to Equibase statistics, Stronach Stables has over 9,000 starts, 1,800 wins, and almost $100 million in purses. And they were the Eclipse leading owner in 2008, Joe. See if you can follow this pattern. In 2019, when he got booted out, they had over 200 starts. 2020, Stronach Stable had 170 starts. 2021, 120 starts. I'm rounding a little bit. 2022, 100 starts. 2023, they had 58 starts. And last year, 2024, Stronach Stable had less than 50 starts. They were at a high of $11 million in purse earnings, and now last year was $400,000 in purse earnings. So when Belinda says, "My family has a long history in racing and we care about the business," I call bullshit, because she doesn't have a long history in racing. Her father has a long history in racing. Her father, has a lot of moral issues that allegedly that are going on, right now in the court system. But as far as his interest in thoroughbred racing, he did a lot to add to dollars, intrigue, experimenting, as far as like trying to make the industry better. And he has a long-standing history in racing and cares about the business. But so far, all Belinda's been doing, other than these one-off huge days of, Pegasus Day, look at me, I'm the belle of the ball. Other than that, she's had a history of closing racetracks more so than helping racetracks. Anyway,
I was watching that interview with Brittany Urton, and shout out to Brittany, because she asked her tough questions in like a very short interview, and it could have been fluff. There are a lot of people who would have just asked fluffy questions and let Belinda talk about all the celebrities that were there. But she asked what the horsemen wanted to know, which is, what is the future of racing, and especially at Gulfstream and at Santa Anita. And Belinda did not have great answers. No. Like, let's be real. Yeah. Like noted equine scientist Belinda Stronach suddenly says the reason they want to move the racing is because it's not good for horses to be in dense urban areas. Well, I don't know. Like, why don't we ask the people who run Churchill Downs in Louisville, or Fairgrounds in New Orleans, or people at Aqueduct or Belmont, or in Hong Kong,
or Japan. Right, exactly.
Any of these places where they run races and stable horses in cities, whether or not that's bullshit, because that just sounded like a new talking point. And it kind of, in a weird way, it kind of made me appreciate Keith Brackpool's offensive more, because at least he was being honest.
At least being straightforward.
At least he was saying straight up, listen, this land is too valuable to continue losing money running a racetrack, so we need an alternative. And that's harsh, obviously. And I think there should be a more conciliatory tone in terms of working with the horsemen, but at least it's like an honest viewpoint, and like you can at least respect and work with that to a certain extent. Like, don't tell me It's because you want to stop racing at Gulfstream because what? It's too loud for the horses.
Right.
Like
Right. Because
that to me sounded like total nonsense. And yeah, like you said, she's got a history of closing racetracks. Like, look, we didn't talk about it that much, but like, look at what happened. Look at what's happening with Pimlico and Laurel. Like the second that they were able to get Pimlico off of their books, they said, "Oh yeah, we'll close Laurel too." Well, as a trade-off, we'll get rid of Laurel, and you guys can make Pimlico like the year-round racing hub for Maryland. They could not wait to throw Laurel under the bus, in addition to getting Pimlico off of their balance sheet. Like there's absolutely no, I guess, no truth and no credibility behind the idea that they want to stop racing at Gulfstream for the betterment of the horses or the train or the horseman. Like it just completely defies logic. It's completely implausible. And I just hope that people keep the pressure on, not just on them, but on some other people in the business to step up and start saving some of these racetracks. Because at the end of the day, like, it's true. Like, if you do not have a natural connection to racing like Frank Stronach had, as a business person, it makes no sense to run most of these racetracks. It doesn't. And so in that way, I honestly don't blame them, but that makes it incumbent upon the billionaires and the really wealthy people in this business to step up, put like some working capital together and start saving some of these racetracks, because the people in charge at the Stronach Group do not seem to have any interest in keeping them going.
Nor any interest in actually working with the horsemen. And I can tell you that from my own past history and recent history with my time on the board. Joe, the other thing I thought was could have been telling is if, and again, maybe Belinda wasn't ready for this question. I don't think she was, but if she had just said, "Hey, this real estate is worth too much," or if she had said, "Our overhead is killing us," something along those lines. I mean, obviously softened, but basically, it's been shown in recent history in racing that you don't need to have the huge grandstands. You don't need to have capacity for 50, 60, 70,000 people. You don't need to have all the ancillary, attachments that these big racetracks who have folded needed to have anymore. In the glory days of the 30s, 40s, and 50s, 1900, 1930, 1940, 1950s, people would pack the stands every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to watch racing. That's not the case anymore. The majority of people are watching racing on their computers or on their phones, so you don't need to have capacity like you used to. I.e., look at Kentucky Downs. They have like seating for 1,000 people. Colonial Downs, much smaller racetrack. For the most part. So to have the expansive grandstands and all of the shopping and restaurants and everything that Gulfstream has, it's a tremendous amount of overhead. I get it. You don't need to have that. Now, if she had said, "This is going to be a commercial site, which will be better used and appreciated in an urban area, and we're going to find another spot for these horses to go where it's less populated or it's more suited for them," then I could see that. If she had gone into, we have a new vision, we want to go into a racetrack so horses can have, round pens to roll in, or they can have areas, to graze like they do in Europe or like they do in other racetracks, and horses flourish by being outside more instead of caged in their stalls, then I would understand a little bit more. But it was not her best day. It was not her best look. And I think you used the term disingenuous. And I think that is exactly the vocabulary word of the day with regard to how I would describe her answers on the NBC interview.
And the thing is too, like, even if there's some kind of deal struck where, they keep racing for the next, let's say 5-6 years, and then they revisit the agreement, like, it just doesn't seem sustainable to have people like this in charge of the game, which leads me to wonder and ponder about alternatives in South Florida, because there's a ton of horsemen and a lot of horses, and there's a rich tradition of racing in South Florida. To me, the two most obvious alternatives would be Palm Meadows, which unfortunately, if I'm correct, is also owned by the Stronach Group, right?
It is, and I think when they, I haven't seen actually evidence of this, but I've heard that when they got that training facility approved, the mayor of Palm Meadows made them I think legally, formally sign off saying that they would not have live racing there because of the noise ordinances and things like that. So, that Palm Meadows is not going to be a landing spot for a racetrack. But go ahead. You said there were a couple of them.
No, yeah. Well, then the other obvious one would be Hialeah,
right,
which is still there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not in the shape that it used to be. They run like a month or two of quarter horse racing in the winter, like that's it. But it's still there. It hasn't been knocked down. It's still owned by the Brunetti family,
right,
who do have an interest in racing. At least the old man did. I don't know about the kids as much. And Hialeah obviously was a South Florida staple for a really long time. But it's just, you know, I worry that, you know, if we do get to continue racing at Gulfstream for like the next 4 or 5 years, are we just kicking the can down the road to have this existential crisis in another 4 or 5 years from now? Do we need, as an industry, and especially in Florida, to start seriously considering alternatives so we can tell the Stronach Group to kick rocks?
Yeah, and I think, Joe, that there were two other options, you know, because Hialeah, I think the father was very interested, and the one son who also recently passed was also very interested. And I think the one remaining son who is in charge of their holdings is not a fan of racing. So I don't know what the story is on that front. But you also have Tampa, which has live racing right now and has excess capacity as far as additional acreage to be able to build, you know, more barns and things like that. And you also have Ocala, you know, which is horse central south, at least, even if you don't want to believe they're advertising that they really are the center of horse country in the world. But, you know, you have all those training facilities. You have OBS that has a 1 mile track as well, and has, you know, gaming contracts and parimutuel licenses. So there are other options out there. I think if nothing else, if we take away from this whole situation that it was a wake up call and therefore we need to act on it, that's the important takeaway from all this. Gulfstream is not our future, at least not in first, you know, ownership, and they're not doing anything but selling it to developers if they sell it. So, you know, let's wake up as an industry and find other options, and see if we can, you know, continue to sustain racing in Florida, because it's too important. It's too important to our industry. It's too important to the state. And we can't have California and Florida fall off the face of the earth when it comes to this industry.
Real Talk is sponsored by TaylorMade, the worldwide leader in thoroughbred sales, marketing, and horse care. Family owned and operated since 1976. They got core values of being honest and transparent, caring for their customers, team members, and horses like their family. Jon and DJ Stable have experienced that up close and personal. They deliver smiles through service and have fun while they're striving for excellence, always looking for a better way. Obviously, they're going to be at the top of the list for the consignments at this year's yearling sales, but don't sleep on the stallion barn, as I've said before. Tying into the Fasig spot from before, Gigante, who's going to be available in that digital sale, is by Not This Time, whose reputation speaks for himself at this point. You know, we got a nice Not This Time yearling in the West Point stable, now 2-year-old in the West Point stable. Looking forward to him, named If Ever. And we also have a couple Tacitus's as well. We have an Instagram filly. So I just think back like 5, 6, 7 years, like TaylorMade did not have that kind of footprint in the stallion game. Right. And the fact that they've been able to grow this part of their business so quickly while also doing partnerships and consignments and horse care and boarding, like all soup to nuts approach to taking care of your horses and taking care of their customers. Like it says a lot for the depth of their team and their expertise in the business that they've been able to now launch this burgeoning stallion barn that just gets better and better and higher in quality every single year. Obviously, Not This Time has helped, but they had to be the ones to get in there on the ground floor and find Not This Time. And that has been kind of the sprout of the tree, the rapidly growing tree that is the TaylorMade stallion outfit. Okay, so I can't believe it took us this long to bring him up, but how about Sandman on Saturday in the Southwest Stakes at Oak Lawn? Jon forbade me from referring to him by name last week because he thought it was unlucky, and I didn't. Yep. I didn't say it. Yep. And then, of course, we got very, very unlucky in the race anyway. So I think Jon's rules are full of shit, and I'm just going to say what I want going forward.
Yes, when has that ever stopped you other than that one instance, Joe? But all right,
I will escape from under your iron fists one of these days, Jon. But no, like if you haven't seen the race, maybe we'll put up the replay. If not, it's all over Twitter. Sandman took a quick left turn coming out of the gate. He did a little stutter step, a little electric slide coming out of the gate and basically jumped to his left, and the jockey barely stayed on, and he was left like 5 or 6 lengths last. And at that point you're thinking, oh shit, this might just be a total wash.
Right.
You might have to draw a line through this race, and then hope he's back on his game and doing the right things in 4 weeks. But no, he gradually got his way back into the race, down the backstretch, made a huge move on the turn, and just could not quite reel in Speed King, who won the race. And I don't want to take anything away from him because he ran well too. Mm-hmm. He did, the first quarter was pretty slow, but then the pace got quicker and quicker down the backstretch. So he did run well. And it was an interesting race because not only did Sandman get off poorly, but Gaming got checked very, very hard going into the first turn. Right. Patch Adams was off a little bit slowly, although I think he had the least excuse out of the three. Right. Maybe he just doesn't want to go 2 turns. But yeah, I think also Sandman was still a little bit green down the stretch. He was still weaving in and out a little bit, but it's just so awesome to see him turn this corner and to show that, like, because, with horses that are green and do need to mature a little bit, sometimes you throw one obstacle at them and they're like, fuck this. Like, I don't want to do this today. Like, this is too hard. So for him to fight through that kind of adversity shows you, not only that he has the talent, but that he has the will and that he has the bravery to win a race like the Kentucky Derby, because it's very rare in the Derby are you going to have a perfect trip where everything just opens up. Like, I know Calvin Burrell, like, somehow got past 18 horses on the rail on Mind That Bird, but in general, like, you're going to have some hiccups and you steady a little bit and you have to weave between horses. And that was good practice on Saturday for the Derby. He got a 92 buyer. The winner got a 93. And it looks like he's going to point for the Rebel next. And he's got a big fan base, I think, with good reason. It's so exciting to have both West Point and DJ in on him. Like, I'm counting down the days, John, like 96 days away from the first Saturday in May. Looking forward to potentially being in that walkover with you and with Terry and the whole family. Like, I'm tingled thinking about it. There's obviously a long way to go. There's a lot of other obstacles he's got to cross and he's got to hurdle. Yep. But you got to feel even better than you did going into the race, despite the fact that he didn't win.
Yeah, and Joe, I think you hit the nail on the head as far as before you listen to what our comments are, you have to watch the race. Watch the first 5 seconds of the race. Sandman breaks, and sometimes I've heard, and trainers have said to me, jockeys have said to me, sometimes they break so explosively that the ground underneath them like breaks down a little bit, and that's why they stumble, because they have so much forward momentum coming out of the gate. So he went down, almost hit his head on the track, almost hit his nose on the track, and then got up. Christian Torres like gathered him up, and the horse like got up, jumped, like you said, a little bit on a stutter step to his left on his hind legs, not even like on all 4 legs, on his hind legs. And then like a cat exploded off of his hind legs and kept moving forward. And my first reaction was, oh shit, he's going to roll an ankle. Oh shit, he's going to hurt him. Because horses, that size and with that much explosiveness usually don't come out, unscathed when they have all those unnatural movements from an immediate, standstill to an explosive move to a standstill to an explosive move again. It just doesn't happen. It's not happening that way, which again goes to show the athleticism of Sandman. How about how much heart he had to give the field that much of a head start, make a move, make a second move. And the only thing I'll disagree with you is I don't think he was necessarily green going down the stretch. I think he was getting tired. I think he was like,
that could be it too.
Yeah, I think he was like, oh, this is further than I've ever run before, and I had to give them a huge head start to do this, and weave around horses. And then he did get a little bothered going down the stretch. Also, he was getting kind of, it wasn't mugged or anything like that, but if he had a little bit of a cleaner lane, maybe he would have gone. But he has the heart to try. And, we talk all the time about horses where if they go to the front and if they can't get the lead by themselves, they can't handle it. They have no heart. They have a pea heart. They're common, all those adjectives that were used to describe me in my running days, that people look at for horses. So the fact that Sandman did all those things and still almost won was huge, huge, huge. I think, Joe, we're going to give him a little bit of an extra, break and probably run him back in the Rebel, which is, about 4 weeks away. But again, he's got to do a lot to come out of that. Make sure he came out of the race sound. 2 days later, he's still doing great and feeling good, but he was tired. he was definitely a crease down his back. He was definitely put everything he could have into that race. It was just important to make sure that we're always watching to see how he's doing. But the decision by Mark Casse, Hall of Fame Mark Casse, to send him to Oaklawn, where we've never stabled horses before, Joe. We've never stabled horses at Oaklawn. And despite the fact that they've had weather issues and everything like that, this son of a gun is really taken to that racetrack and taken to that kind of training. And I know he's ours anyway, but I wouldn't trade him with anybody in the race. And that's not to say that Speed King's not going to be a leading contender, because, Speed King's only quote unquote blemish on his resume was that, he finished second in a hard fought race in the Springboard Mile against Coal Battle. And all Coal Battle is one of the top 15 horses, arguably in the Kentucky Derby picture as well. Patch Adams, I think this is my theory only, Joe. I'm curious to see what you think about it. Is that I think that they told Pratt, who was riding the horse for the first time, let the speed go, because there was a lot of speed in the race, especially on the outside of him. Let the speed go, and we want to make one run to try to educate the horse, because that horse had only run twice, and both times were sprinting. And I think that's what they were trying to do. And he broke, and he got throttled back, and all of a sudden, like after the first furlong and a half of the race, we were in the back end of the race with him, and I did not expect to see Patch Adams in the back of the field. So I think that was a strategic move. Maybe I'm wrong, but that was my guess, is that's what Brad Cox and China Horse and Windstar and Flavian, I think that's what they all kind of decided to do, is let the speed go and let's educate the horse and make a big run. Because I'd rather educate him in January than try to have to educate him in May.
Yeah, well, and that's one of the reasons that I think Mark Cassie's done such a good job with Sandman, because just to let people in on some of the inside conversations, after the Street Sense, after you ran third in the Street Sense, which was it was an okay effort. It wasn't awful, but it wasn't what we were expecting. There was some internal discussion about hey, should we freshen him up a little bit for his 3-year-old year? And Mark Casse was adamant. He said no, the only way he's going to mature and grow is to keep running. And now look, 2 starts later, he was number 2 on the TDN top 12. I think you can make a reasonable case for number 1 right now. Like I said, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Still a lot of time until the Derby, but I don't know. Find me a more impressive race from a 3-year-old, even from the 2-year-old, the last couple of months of the year. I just was so proud of him and how well he ran and how brave he was. And let's keep him moving forward. I think, I think those preps are going to be very tough in Oaklawn. Mm-hmm. I just think that those races have gotten progressively stronger, while the Louisiana and the Florida preps have gotten slightly weaker over time, just because of the money.
Well, the money. I was just going to say
it's hard to pass up $1 million for the first of 3 Kentucky Derby preps. Right. So that was a really salty field. And, like I said, a couple of horses had a lot of trouble. So the water is not going to get any easier. But like you said, he missed training too. Yeah. Because of the storms, the Oaklawn track was not in great shape for at least a week. Right. So he missed some training and still was able to do what he did. So Mark made the right call. Let's keep him there. Let's keep him happy, and let's keep moving forward. Real Talk is sponsored by Epic Insurance Brokers, one of the nation's top retail insurance brokers, providing expertise across key lines of insurance, property and casualty, employee benefits, unique specialty insurance, and more. Chris Moore, our buddy, our compadre, our ace boon coon, is Epic's equine specialty practice. He's the guy. You see him at sales. You see him at races. He's got horses himself. This is his passion. By the way, breeding season is here. Foals are dropping. You're starting to make breeding decisions for mares. Talk to Chris on how to best protect your investments. He'll work with you, fully customize your equine insurance plan to meet your needs and risk tolerance, And this isn't a cliche, get a free quote. Your program can be completely customized. And did you know that your deductible insurance program can have per horse deductibles built into it? Chris will give you the scoop. He'll work with the market to create the plan that works for you. Give him a call or shoot him a text at 317-650-4519, or you can go to epicbrokers.com. Go check it out. They cover all sorts of needs. If you have an equine business, if you work with an equine business, you have 1 horse, 250 horses, they will take care of you and get you set. That's why John is a customer. And that brings us to this week's
The Epic Performance of the Week.
And off of the heels of the Sandman race, we give plenty of props to Sandman and his bravery and his athleticism. How about Christian Torres,
Absolutely.
the rider on Sandman? If we can put up the photo of him falling right as Sandman is going left, unbelievable that he was able to stay on that horse. Because, John, if he falls off the horse, God forbid he gets hurt, but even if he doesn't get hurt, Sandman doesn't get any derby points. No. Maybe he still runs and, God forbid he hurts himself when he's loose, but maybe he still runs well, but he doesn't get the credit for it. He doesn't get the earnings, doesn't get any of that stuff if Christian isn't able to stay on the horse. And it's a reminder, it's a regular reminder of how athletic jockeys are. I think in a lot of times in the sport, we appreciate the athleticism of the horses, as we should, because they're incredible, but the jockeys are top class, world class athletes as well. And just by the eye in the eye of a needle, he was able to stay on that horse, and it was just incredible to watch. And John, you told me this, he's the leading rider right now at Oaklawn, right?
Leading rider at Oaklawn. He had 3 or 4 winners over the weekend, and really his best performance was not winning, was finishing second.
Right.
But the fact that he not only stayed on the horse, Joe, all the things you said, but he continued to ride him. He said, "Okay, are you okay?" He gave him a couple of strides to make sure that the horse was okay, and he was like, "Let's go, big guy, we're going." And moved them around, maneuvered them, throughout the racetrack to do it. I was just amazed at how well he piloted that horse, and so much so that we run in the Rebel. He's staying on board. I mean, he did such a phenomenal job.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's great to hear that he's going to keep them out. So shout out to Christian Torres for this week's epic performance of the week. He and Sandman are a great team, and now they've been through the wars of not getting off great and having to deal with adversity, and they came through it, and they both comported themselves and represented themselves tremendously. Well done, Christian Torres. Rail Talk is sponsored by the Green Group. The Green Group is the #1 accounting firm in the horse business. There's one reason. There's no other CPA firm that knows the horse industry like they do. They've got over 200 horses. DJ Stables won over 2,500 races. John, can we update this copy? I feel like it's got to be over 2,600 at this point.
Joe, we are exactly 29 wins from 2,600.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, you're the numbers guy.
I figured it out the other day.
It?
Len had me audit all of our numbers, just on his sidebar. Aside from doing tax returns and K1s and everything like that, that's important to do this year. He said, "Hey, can you please figure out how many wins we have, because we keep saying 2,500. I know we're close to 2,600." And then he audited me to make sure my numbers were right. Please.
The guy never sleeps.
Never sleeps.
The guy never sleeps. So yeah, I mean, they have close to 1,000 clients in the horse business because they make them money and save them taxes. The success on the racetrack speaks for itself. But Len and the Green Group can help you have success on the racetrack, but also on your bottom line, because it is a risky business. You need to know every single avenue to be able to save money, to be able to take advantage of tax benefits. And there's nobody better in this business to help you with that than Len and the Green Group. You can call them up. And what's that number, Michael? 732-634-5100. Or go to greenco.com. There is a complimentary confidential half-hour consultation in it for you. Yes, you, listener of Rail Talk. If you call him up or go to the website, he'll give you a half-hour consultation guaranteeing you'll get value, and do it quickly, because we're, tax season is right. I mean, tax season's already started for most people, but tax day is right around the corner. Glenn unequivocally guarantees he'll find you value and savings. He'll donate to your favorite charity or whatever you want. He's not worried. He's always found value. He knows he can do it for you. But you also don't have to take it from me, as trustworthy as I am. You can listen to friend of the show, friend of John and mine, and horse owner Aaron Yagoda.
So I walked into the Green Group, and at the end of 1998, I introduced myself to Mr. Green. We switched my firm over in the 2000s, and it's been very lucky for my firm, my horses, and everything I have. I owe a lot to Mr. Green. He's a big part of my life, and the Green Group is a big part of my financial life, and they really help you. And they're #1 in the tax and accounting and a consulting firm of the horse business, and you'd be missed if you didn't use the Green Group.
Thank you, my man, AY. So take Aaron's advice, take my advice, go to greenco.com. I know plenty of people in the Rail Talk family have done it, have taken advantage of that relationship in the past year or two. Don't be left out. If you got a horse business, if you got a horse, you're involved in this industry at all, and you want to make sure you're taking advantage of every single tax benefit, hit Len and the Green Group up at greenco.com or 732-634-5100. Man, we are so thrilled to bring this cast of misfits onto the screen with us. It is time for the long-awaited, much anticipated Mage Rage Derby Draft Contest. This is so exciting. First, let me introduce the people. We already know Jon Green, my co-pilot. We also are joined by Samantha Perry, analyst at Gulfstream Park and First Racing, Michelle Yu, on-air reporter and analyst at Santa Anita Park, and Dan Chordman, the correspondent for America's Best Racing and man about town in racing. I just see him everywhere I go. Name? This is Juno. She nudges her way into the camera view every once in a while. She's a puppy, and she has very, very, very high needs, as the rest of us do. That's why we're a good fit for this contest. Right. So, first of all, it's sponsored by Mage. Mage is standing at Airdrie Stud for $25,000. He was the winner, obviously, of the 149th Kentucky Derby. He's the son of Good Magic, one of the most explosive high potential stallions on the market. He's a full brother to Stronach, who, if you remember, won the Haskell and the Belmont last year. So it's a great family. Puka was an awesome mare, awesome brood mare. So it's an exciting opportunity anytime you get to breed to a Kentucky Derby winner, but especially at somewhere like Airdrie, where you know that they scour the market. They look for the best value from the best families and the best product on the racetrack. So shout out to Airdrie for sponsoring the contest, and shout out to all you guys for taking time out of your day, and Sam especially being on the beach coming to do this draft.
My dad is just here in a Speedo, and it's just like, my stepmom is like, no.
It's an honor to have you guys on. And so here's the rules just real quick before we get started. Each of us 5 contestants are going to pick 6 horses. It's going to be a snake draft. So the draft order will reverse as the rounds go on. Later on, we're going to be able to claim or pick up other horses from other people's stables if we need. We'll get to that before the March 29th show. We'll use the official Kentucky Derby points as the basis for our point total. But just to make things simpler for John and his pea brain, we're going to decrease the points by a factor of 10. So if a horse gets 50 points on the road to the Kentucky Derby, they'll get 5 points for the purpose of our contest. That's pretty much all you need to know. So let's get this thing started. Here is the draft order, which was done by Julia and Patty in an undisclosed location that just so happened to end up with John in 5th. First pick is going to go to my buddy Dan. Second pick is going to be me. Third is Michelle, 4th is Sam, and then 5th is John. We've done tons of research for this, just in the lab for days trying to figure out who we want to pick. Just trust us on that one. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Dan Chordman for the first pick in the Mage Rage Derby Contest draft.
I was expecting to pick last, and I already had my 5th and 6th pick, pick 5 and 6 ready. But since I'm not doing that, I'm going to go with Vegas. The heavy favorite right now is Barnes. So I'm going to take Barnes. Keep it simple.
Damn.
That's too long.
All right.
Nice.
Yep. He's lightly raced, but obviously super, super talented, and cruised in the San Vicente last time out. So pretty logical first pick. Chalk eating Dan goes with Barnes at number 1. So that turns it over to me at number 2. This was a tough one. I don't want to be the ultimate homer, but I'm going to take Sandman.
That was my top pick.
I know. I had going into this weekend, I thought maybe he would last to round 2, but after that performance in the Southwest, I was like, no, I got to snap him up early. I'm sorry, Michelle.
I even told John before he ran that he was going to be my top pick. I told John he's not coming to you, he's mine. So You're like bandwagon jumping, Joe. I feel like that's kind of shady.
Bandwagon jumping. Well, he owns part of the horse, Michelle.
Not me personally, but yes, I am the genesis behind Sandman being owned by West Point Thoroughbreds and DJ Stable, in case you didn't know. But no, so I stole him from you just like you're going to steal him from John, Michelle.
That's right.
Turnabout is fair play.
Well, I was very nice, and I advance noticed, John, that this was going to happen.
She did, and I didn't tell anybody. All I did was curse you out about how you're going to pick him before me. All right.
Now you can curse me out, John, which you do already on a daily basis. All right, Michelle, you're up.
I guess
number 3.
I'll just get stuck with Citizen Bull.
Oh, boo-hoo. Get stuck with the
2-year-old champion is a pretty good consolation prize. Yeah. Sam, you're up. Number 4.
Journalism.
All right. Los Al Futurity winner, another Bob Baffert.
No,
3 out of 4.
McCarthy.
Oh, it's McCarthy. You're right. My bad. Yeah. So 3 out of 4 West Coast horses at least. John, number 5. Go ahead.
Number 5, I'm going to go with Sovereignty, the Into Mischief colt.
All right. We got a up close look at him in the street sense. super nice horse for Bill Mott.
Yep.
So Jon goes again for the sixth pick, first pick of round 2.
All right. With the first pick in round 2, I'm going to go with Eclipse-owned hard-spun son, Built.
Good one. Crazy impressive in the gun runner. That goes back to Sam now for her second pick.
East Avenue.
I wanted that one. He's working up a storm. He should be back soon. That's a good, shrewd round 2 pick, Sam. Michelle, back to you.
I'm going to take Ferocious.
Ooh.
Another good one.
That's a good one.
Another good one.
That sends it back to me. I'm going to go a little bit off the board here. I don't think he was in the – actually, he was in the Derby future pool. He's only a maiden winner so far. But I like Rodriguez for Bob Baffert.
I thought about him, but I didn't want to go 2 Bobs in a row.
Yeah, I mean, this is what makes it for a great draft.
Right.
Oh,
stealing players, stealing horses from other people. All right, so
Dan
Rodriguez is my second pick.
That was Dan's next pick,
so
I think.
Goes back to Dan for the last pick of round 2.
I don't have anything. I don't have anything. I've got like little fun horses that people have mentioned to me. I don't have anything good. I don't even know these horses are. I don't know. Take Charge Tom.
You could have just made that horse
$5. If
up.
anyone could pick
didn't know that
who
was a
trains
real
that
horse.
horse right now.
Another horse you've never heard of. Treaty of Rome.
All right. Take Charge Tom and Treaty of Rome, horses that may or may not exist. We'll have to do some research.
I don't think we're going to worry about stealing those in round 2 in the next.
Okay, so after Dan's duo of made-up horses, I'm going to go back to the home team and take Keep It Easy. Partially West Point owned. He got a big win in the Ed Brown Stakes at Churchill. He's going to run the Fountain of Youth. Keep it quiet. I'll go with Keep It Easy for my third pick. Now, Michelle, it's your turn.
Disco time.
All right. Over to you, Sam.
Owen Almighty.
Nice one.
Bren Lynch, DQer.
All right, Jon. Third pick for you.
I'm going to go with Jonathan's Way.
Oh.
So easy.
Cute.
Easy. All right. Jonathan's Way. And then my next one is going to be Gunmetal.
Back to Sam for her fourth pick.
How about Holy Bull runner Guns Loaded? Has anybody picked him? No?
He's available.
Nope.
All right. Guns Loaded.
All yours. All right, Michelle.
River Thames.
Ooh.
Mm.
Ames, nice.
That's a good one. This is a risky one because this horse hasn't breezed in a while, and he's a Florida bred. But I'm taking Rated by Merit. There's 4 for 4 as a 2-year-old,
Yep.
super dominant.
Good for you.
Ran 2 turns.
Yep.
Hopefully he shows up on the work tab soon because I'm taking Rated by Merit.
There's an undefeated horse, Joe. Undefeated 4 for 4. Yeah, he's a nice low round pick.
Yep. Dan, over to you.
Let me. I'm going to ChatGPT to give me a made-up horse. Hold on one second.
Top 5 plausible horse names.
That's right. Pokey McSmokey.
Okay, I've got a practical joke. Out of Pow Wow Wow. His name is Captain Cook.
This whole draft feels like a practical joke.
Captain Cook. He's going to be in the. I think he's running the Withers, right? I think that's
What was the horse? Who was it?
Captain Cook.
I'm sorry, he's going in what prep race is he running in?
The Withers.
The Withers? The race that hasn't produced a Derby winner since 1986? Excellent. Okay. Just checking.
I love your sources, Dan. Keep going.
And then because my picks have been just so, I don't know the word. Have they been legitimate?
You can say that.
Named legitimate. This is a horse.
All right.
I see this horse here. Legitimate. Do we know any of these horses?
Sounds right.
He's an
I know
he's an 8-year-old.
Legitimate just won. Gate to wire in the slop on a speed favoring sealed racetrack. Excellent choice.
There you go, Dan.
There you go.
There you go.
And Dan,
That's
where can we
probably your
find
best
you?
pick to date. I'm not going to lie.
It might be his best prospect. That's the line of the show so far. It might actually
I feel like Dan might get the last laugh with all this shit we're giving
You
him.
guys don't-
We're setting it
you
up.
don't even know.
We're setting it up for that.
Okay. Who's next? I lost track.
It's me. I'm going to take First Resort.
Oh, that's a good
God
one.
Damn it.
Kentucky Jockey Club winner. I think he's value in round 5. Over to you, Michelle.
Okay. I have a question. Does the Saudi Derby count for points?
The Saudi Derby doesn't. The Hyacinth in Tokyo does. The Kempton race in Kempton does. I mean, there's all kinds of.
I was trying to find out who was going to run in the Hyacinth, but I couldn't. I am.
Some reporter.
Well,
I'm not very good on my Japanese.
This is the.
Yeah, and he's still available.
We helping?
He just started working too. Is he going to be ready? I don't know.
McPatrick's gone.
No, he's not.
No, he's not.
Oh, well, I want Chancellor McPatrick then.
Oh, no, now I want him. Sorry, Chancellor Patrick, I'll take him now.
All right. Chancellor McPatrick with an assist from Patty to spite Dan.
That's right. Spite Dan.
I don't know how the McKenzies are going to run on Derby Day. I just took that just to be mean to Dan. That's probably going to be the downfall of my whole team there.
Hey, Dan, there was a 3-year-old maiden 12-5 at Finger Lakes that just finished. Do you want to know the winner of that one?
I do. Maybe it's something to claim.
Something to claim.
My last pick.
All right, who's up, Joe?
Sam.
Oh, sorry.
Did somebody take Patch Adams yet?
Mm-mm.
I'll take Patch Adams. Let's forgive the debacle in Oaklawn, maybe.
Yep.
It's a good pick.
Can I do something nice and go back and not pick Chancellor Patrick and have my other horse that I was really going to pick?
If you want.
Nope, too late.
No, sorry.
These rules are very rigid.
You might have a chance to get it in the 6th round.
No, I already have my 6th round. I've got a Dan style horse in my 6th round.
Nice.
Come on, Mr. Research.
I'm trying to decide between 2 horses. I'm going to go.
You can only pick one.
Good thing you have back-to-back picks, bro.
Right. Madaket Road.
Okay. Which then kick off the last round. Mercifully, the last round.
I'm surprised you didn't pick that one. That's a California horse.
Yeah.
See, the whole point of having you and Samantha on the show, aside from your witty repartee, is the fact that you guys represent 2 regions where most of these Derby horses come from. But obviously, that was
I don't need 75 Bob Bafferts on my team.
That was a misfire. My last one, I'm going to go with.
Is that the Waves?
Those are the Waves behind us. Yes.
Probably.
Sam, please write your last pick in the sand, and that's how you're going to show it.
That's right. I'm going to go with the always looked over Cole Battle 20-pointer. Cole Battle.
Okay.
That's John's favorite horse.
Not really.
All right.
That's my 6, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Back to Sam.
Okay. Let's do. I guess I'll do Tappan Street. He's going to run in the Holy Bowl on Saturday.
Opportunity for quick points. Okay.
Yeah.
Michelle?
My last horse is Hill Road.
Ooh. That horse was on my list.
Oh, God.
Next for me. I was just
okay, I love that horse. Was my Breeders' Cup blow up the board horse. Him and Full Serrano were the 2, and he's stateside right now, training.
Oh, all right.
Love it.
Very nice.
All right. Last pick for me. I'm hesitant to go back to the Baffert barn, but I'm going to take Gaming just because he's a Grade 1 winner and he had a horrendous trip in the Southwest. So I'll close out my stable with Gaming.
There you go.
My least favorite Bob Baffert horse.
Okay, but this is the 6th round.
It's supposed to be for long.
Slim pickings. Not all of us can take Riley Allison Derby winners. That opportunity was stolen from me.
Exactly.
All right, Dan. Final pick of the draft.
Since Hill Road isn't in the mix anymore.
I know. Dan, you want? We actually just had a maiden that won pretty well. Not pretty impressively. Won impressively going 2 turns at Oaklawn. Brodeur.
Was that the horse you told me about?
That's the horse I told you about. Yeah.
Wait, you gave me the horse that lost?
No, I told you
the other
both.
day. You didn't give me Brodeur,
but you were like.
No, you didn't.
I did actually.
You absolutely did not. You told me the filly that ran like she didn't know how
her legs were. 2 horses running left at Oaklawn. I got this Justify Name Achieve and then Brodeur in the 9th race.
Fucking liar! You liar!
John, I just got you in trouble. I'm sorry.
Because I told Sam about it too.
Oh my God!
Anyway,
it's between that and I was gonna say if I can't have Sandman, I'll take Speed King, but maybe
Speed King. Yeah, that's right. I mean, the horse that beat him.
Yeah,
the horse that actually won the race.
Yeah, overrated to pick winners.
Speed King, you take Brodeur next time.
The next time.
Hey, I've got a horse that's only run twice on grass, and we just nominated him the Triple Crown. You want me to tell him about him?
Who dat?
He
Who
could
dat?
sit
Send
in
him to the
here.
Hyacinth.
Huh?
Send him to the Hyacinth. Because we are obviously so well prepared for this and have so many horses to choose from. Michelle suggested we do one last wild card round, but with the caveat, and this was her idea, that the horse cannot have run this year, right? Or no stakes experience. Is that what you said?
Or is an A
Or
other
if it's
than?
run this year, it's like an allowance, like a maiden winner.
Yeah, is an A other than.
So they can have stakes experience at 2, just not so far this year. Got it. Okay. Dan, you're up.
Raging Torrent.
What'd you got?
Raging Torrent?
Oh, by the way, Raging Torrent's an older horse.
No, that's a 3-year-old. So my 3-year-old
No,
lived.
he's a 3-year-old.
No, you ran into Malibu.
He was a 3-year-old last year when he won like
ran in the
3 grade
Malibu.
ones.
John, can I still take your horse?
Who's that?
Okay,
Yeah,
so
you can take him. Go ahead.
let me take Brodeur. I'll take Brodeur.
There you go.
Everybody's getting helped along except for me.
Oh, you have a dog there.
All right. I'm going to go with Donut God.
Is that a real horse?
Yes,
Great
he
name.
runs Saturday in the Swale.
Excellent name. Has not run yet this year. Ran in one of the inaugural stakes last time out at Tampa Bay. Brian Lynch. Give me Donut God.
That's good.
Love it.
Michelle?
We'll see him this weekend.
I'll go Sensaba.
Ooh.
Who was that? I missed that.
Sensaba, the
Oh,
Baffert
Sensaba.
Justify horse.
Yeah.
You complained I didn't have enough West Coast horses, so.
Sam, last one.
All right, this horse is still unnamed because he hasn't debuted yet, but the Beholder.
The Beholder curling, baby.
Yep.
Wow. An unnamed horse.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's ballsy.
Digging in the crates.
Nah,
Oh.
it's because Bob doesn't let the good ones get named till right before they run.
There you go.
I
He's
don't
going to
think
be a
that's a rule.
two-starter, two starts and in the Derby.
Nice.
He's gonna get like 1 star and have to be in the Derby at this point.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
He's gonna debut in a Santa Anita Derby.
Sam,
There you go.
Sam had to outdo me. I mean, I'm picking 4 and 5-year-olds, and you have to go pick an unnamed horse.
All right. Well, wait. I'm picking. This is a horse
Yeah,
hasn't
let's
run.
pick a
This horse
yearling
hasn't
now.
run yet this year, right? Was that the rule, Michelle? The horse
Yes.
hasn't run yet. I'm going to go with the Godolphin Homebred Poster.
Oh, good.
Wow. That's a good pick.
one.
How did he last to the last pick? Well done, John.
go.
Well
All right.
done, all.
That was fun.
That was fun.
One more?
One
No more rounds,
No, we're
Dan.
not. We're
No
not.
more
We're not at the
rounds.
bar, Dan. One more round.
Let's
One
all
more
pick
round?
4-year-olds now. Do we get one filly? We shall get one filly now.
Joe will recap and we'll throw up on the screen, who everybody has. So that way our friends at home and listeners and podcast worshipers can all root for whom they want. Most important thing is the winner gets all kinds of free swag from Airdrie and Mage. So you can show that off.
A free breeding?
No, not a free breeding, but you know what? You can breed to any of Dan's horses if you want for free, because I'm sure they'll be giving it away. But I wanted to thank everyone for everyone's busy. I mean, Dan was flying around the countryside, and Michelle was all over the place with horses, breaking horses and everything like that. And Samantha is trying desperately to keep her father clothed on the beach in Miami. But we do thank you guys. We enjoy your friendship, and we'll see you again in a few weeks when we get to do the second part of this contest, which is the trading and blocking and tackling and claiming of horses.
Nice.
Looking forward to the white elephant round.
Thank you, John, for undercutting me and saying goodbye before I had a chance to read the teams. Just to recap, mostly for us, in addition to for the audience. So we'll go. Let's give you Dan's team first. He's got Barnes, Brodeur, Take Charge Tom, Treaty of Rome, Captain Cook, and Speed King. John.
I just think it's like when I was a little kid, my sisters would be like, "John, say booger," and I'd be like, "Booger." I think that's what Dan's friends did. They're like, "Let's see if we can get Dan to pick this horse."
Hey, when Take Charge Tom is the 14th Triple Crown winner, none of you are going to be laughing.
That's true.
All right. John's team is Built, Gunmetal, Jonathan's Way, Matticat Road, Poster, Sovereignty, and Coal Battle. Michelle's team, Chancellor McPatrick, Citizen Bull, Disco Time, Ferocious, River Thames, Hill Road, and Sen Saba. And let's see, my team is Donut God. I got the best name of the group for sure. First Resort, Gaming, Keep It Easy, Rated by Merit, Rodriguez, and of course, Sandman. And Samantha's team is East Avenue, Journalism, Owen Almighty, Patch Adams, Guns Loaded, Tappan Street, and Beholder, Curlin 3-year-old, yet to be named. Okay. Well, that was a whole lot of fun. John already said, I echo his sentiments. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to join us and have some fun. It's going to be a fun ride all the way to the Kentucky Derby. We'll keep all the people posted on the point standings every single week, and we'll bring our three friends back on the show before the March 29th round of preps so we can pick and choose and trade and wave and all the other stuff that's fun about drafts and fantasy. So, without further ado, thank you for everyone for coming on. We'll see you soon. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye.
And good luck to everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, so that's it for episode 77 of Rail Talk. This was fun. It was a mess, but it was the right kind of mess with the right kind of people. Thank you to my co-pilot, Jon Green. Thank you to Dan Torgman, Samantha Perry, and Michelle Yu for coming on and participating in our excellent, very, very tightened up, buttoned up Derby draft. It's going to be fun to follow our teams as we get closer and closer on the road to the Kentucky Derby, to that first Saturday in May. So shout out to those three. We love them and we appreciate their time. Thank you to our producer, Patty Wolf, and our associate producer, Nathan Wilkinson, as well as Julia Agresta, even though she's on vacation this week. We'll shout her out anyway. Thank you to Michael Agresta for his help with the tunes and the jingles. Thank you to you for watching. We'll see you next week back here on Rail Talk.